Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm sorry that this one is getting out a lot later than I expected it to. I intended to have this out like 2 weeks ago, but I've just been so busy and I wanted to put a little more time and effort into this video. And so that's why it's taken me a while to get this done, but here it is. And I'm just going to dive right into it. What you're seeing now in the background is just me opening some packs on PTCG as I'm trying to increase my collection on there, and it's proving difficult. The hardest card to get is Tapu Lele GX. If you know a better way, please let me know. All I can think of is to trade packs for it, and that has proven unsuccessful. No one wants to give up their Tapu Lele GX. GX is on the trade board, so you know that's understandable. But other than that, I just want to discuss everything up to this point that I have done. I've basically just looked on Reddit. You know, I followed all the relevant subreddits like RPTCG, RPTCGO, RPTC Trading, all of those. I even followed the collectible ones. I'll link them all down in the description below. But I just followed those, and if you look on there, you know, there's posts daily, there's new stuff, you know, they're so helpful on there for you to learn and for the whole community to grow as a whole, that they're willing to, you know, tell you how to do things, or tell you, you know, hey, you need to do this, or you know, maybe this card's better, or you know, rate my deck list, and they help you figure out how to best optimize your decks and stuff like that, which is really awesome. And that's where I went to really figure out everything that I needed to do for this whole journey that I was going to take for Pokemon TCG. And so on there you can see many different deck lists. You can see I don't remember if there's actually YouTube videos linked, but people might link them in the comments just for clarification on certain things. I don't think you're allowed to link YouTube. I can't remember the rules exactly. But you can also go on YouTube, which is also what I did, and looked at different YouTube content creators for Pokemon trading card game and deck building and deck guides and stuff like that. And so I went there. I had already followed like a bunch of pack opening people, just not any, you know, deck building or deck strategy kinds of people. And I came across I had already been watching a lot of Derium's Pokemon like pack openings, and although Tricky Gym isn't really working, or Andrew Mahone isn't really working with them, I came across Tricky Gym in that way. And that has been just a wonderful source of information for me to learn and grow and about the whole competitive scene as a whole. I mean, he posts every day. It's really interesting stuff. I mean, obviously everybody's probably heard of him, but if you are new, I would definitely recommend checking him out because he has amazing content and it's really easy to understand. He has a great voice. It's just 10 out of 10 content, and he's actually starting to focus more on making the content for Pokemon and stuff like that more full-time, I believe. And so I learned a lot from him. You know, he was the one where I originally, you know, learned about Malamar and how I'm going to build that deck and stuff like that, which I'll explain later on in this video. And another source that I learned about how to, you know, better build my strategies, or different, you know, what to expect out of my opponents, is Dark Integral Gaming, Donald at Dark Integral Gaming. And he streams, he posts his videos, he has wonderful different perspectives on the game itself. He builds different kinds of decks than Andrew. I mean, some of it's similar, but it'll have different cards in there, so you can see what's viable, what's not viable. You can cross-reference and stuff like that. And so if you are looking at, you know, getting into this community, I would recommend, you know, just do a whole bunch of research and see, you know, okay, so this is good, this is bad, and stuff like that, because it will, although it's overwhelming at first, it will start to make sense over time. You'll see, okay, so this goes well with this, okay, what's coming out in the next set, and stuff like that, and you'll start thinking, and when you play the game, it just changes your whole kind of thinking about different things, even, this sounds cheesy, but even in life itself. And so it's a lot of fun. And I will go ahead and show you the deck that I used to compete in a League Cup 2 weeks ago now, or a week ago. Yeah, so here's that. All right, welcome to the deck overview, the deck review portion of this video. The deck I decided to go with was the gas can that was announced, played at Philadelphia Regionals. Everybody knew about Malamars going into, based on my research, they knew Malamars were threats, but I don't know if anybody knew how big of a threat Malamar could be when paired with different stuff. So, at the Philly Regionals, there was Malamar Shrines, there were Malamar Necrozma and Marshadow GX, gas can, Deoxys, that kind of stuff. So I really liked Rukan's deck list, and I think a lot of people did as well. The reason why I chose to do Malamar instead of, let's say, like a Buzzwole or something like that is because I just genuinely don't like Buzzwole. I know Buzzwole is a good card right now. It's just like, it's an ugly card. And I love purple. The color of purple is just so wonderful, especially when paired with these purple sleeves. And so prior to Rukan's deck list coming out, I had already chosen Malamar Ultra Necrozma at the time because nobody knew exactly how to run Malamars and what was the best way. And so I bought, this is all the stuff that I bought to use this deck that I didn't end up using. Because there were so many different deck lists out there. Everybody had their own opinion on how to do things. And so originally I had Ultra Necrozma in here instead of regular Necrozma. And so let's take a look here. So we are running, if you know, I'll link a Rukan's deck list down below. But he runs a 4/4 line of Inkay Malamar. I'll get these supporters and trainers out of the way here. And then he runs 2 Deoxys, okay, and then 1 Mimikyu. There's 2 different kinds of Mimikyus, just so you know. You get the, I think this is the Guardian Rising 58 out of 145. It has Copycat. That's the main thing you want out of Mimikyu. And then he runs 1 Let Loose Marshadow, and then 2 Necrozmas, 2 Marshadow GXs, 1 Dawn Wings. I guess we can go here. 1 Dawn Wings and 1 Lele. And so, it's interesting that he only runs 1 Lele, because most decks run at least 2 and stuff like that. And so originally I had Ultra Necrozma GX in there instead of Necrozma GX, because a lot of people were saying, Ultra Necrozma GX, that Sky Scorching Light GX is amazing, but the problem is, and Photon Geyser is pretty good, but, excuse me, and it only needs, 2 energy. But the problem is that you need to find that metal energy, and that's kind of hard to find that metal energy in this deck. So, it's a give and take in terms of using Ultra Necrozma GX. It just makes your deck a little less inconsistent. It's also an Ultra Beast too, so you can use, things like Beast Ring or Beast Energy and stuff like that. So, yeah, that is why we didn't end up using Ultra Necrozma GX. We also played with, there were several deck lists that had 2 Dawnwings Necrozma GXs. Rukan doesn't run 2 Dawnwings Necrozma GXs because you want to prioritize either the Deoxys or Marshadow GX when you're going up against different matches, depending on what your matchup is. And so you primarily want these in the discard, this Dawnwings Necrozma or Necrozma for that matter, because Marshadow GX has the ability Shadow Hunt. It can use any attack that's in your discard as long as it has the right amount of energy. And so you're never going to use the Marshadow GX GX move because you're not running fighting type energy, but you're going to be able to do Black Ray GX or Moon's Eclipse GX depending on where you are in the match. So, yeah. There's also deck lists that ran Mewtwo GX or a Mewtwo promo or the Baby Dawnwings Necrozma, and some ran Oranguru. Most people said, right off the bat, before even Philadelphia Regionals happened, Oranguru was probably not a good choice for this deck. And I think that's because you already have so much draw support, you don't want Oranguru taking up more deck space. More bench space, because you have the Malamars that you can really only need for psychic recharging your Pokemon, and you can just keep going. And you have the Cynthias. Actually, we'll get into that right now. And then, so let's talk about the draw support real quick. So you have the 4 Cynthias, then you have 4 Guzmas, you have 4 Lilies, right? And so the Cynthias and Lilies, obviously your fantastic draw support. And then you have 4 Mysterious Treasures, which you can search for any card, and then you can discard an energy. And so that's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because Malamar recharges from the discard. You have 4 Skateboards, which aren't really, those are not draw support, but it helps you make sure your Pokemon have more agility. You have 4 Ultra Balls and 4 Acro Bikes, and 2 Friend Balls and 2 Rescue Stretchers. And so, what is that sound? I'm sorry if you can hear that. But so, if any Pokemon go in the discard and you need them back, you can Rescue Stretcher them back in, whether it be a Deoxys or Marshadow or anything like that. And then you have 2 Friend Balls, because most decks either run this card, a Lele, or they have a Trubbish or some sort of Psychic type. Or if you're going up against a Lycanroc or a Buzzwole, they're going to have a fighting type. So you can go find this Marshadow with the Friend Ball. So the Friend Ball is fantastic. You only run 2 because you only use it for, obviously situational. So I think 2 is a great number. And then you have the 4 Acro Bikes, so you can, just start milling off energies if possible. Then you have the 4 Ultra Balls and the 4 Mysterious Treasures, and that just really helps you find what you need in the deck. It makes the deck really consistent. Now, when we look at these other cards, I think that the Mewtwo GX and the Mewtwo are just satisfying. This promo Mewtwo has pressure and decreases the amount of damage that your opponent can do, but at the end of the day, this deck really plays interestingly in that it can be both a GX and a non-GX deck, and so you're going to be either trading prizes, or you just the 20 I think isn't really going to matter that much, especially when a lot of decks run Kukui, or they can boost their damage output in different ways. And then the Mewtwo GX was just going to clog everything up, because even if you just have 1, then you're not going to be able to find the Dawnwings GX, and the attack just isn't on par with Necrozma GX or Dawnwings. And then we have the Baby Dawnwings. I like the Gulfstream. It's just one energy, and you have 20 more damage for each prize card. So if you have this in the very beginning, then it's very beneficial, but later on in the match, this thing just is in your way, and it's not very viable for the rest of the match. So, that's why this gets replaced with like Deoxys, stuff like that. Now, when we're talking about mobility and agility, Rukan really explained well that you want to use a skateboard instead of Altar of the Moon. And the reason is because even though Altar of the Moon reduces your cost output by 2 for the retreat, it's a stadium card, which can be easily field blowered away or replaced by the opponent's Shrine of Punishment, because Shrine decks are so prevalent right now. But although a skateboard can be, field blowered away, that's only one way that it's going to be destroyed by your opponent instead of 2. That's one less thing you have to be worrying about. And a lot of decks these days aren't running that many field blowers. They're running maybe 1 or 2, if not any. And so a skateboard is amazing. You attach it to your Marshadow, you attach it to whatever you want. And it's just, I think Deoxys only has 1 retreat cost as well. Yeah, see, it only has 1 retreat cost as well. So you attach it there, attach it here. You're moving all over the place, and you can get through everything. And there's that explanation for why we don't use Altar of the Moon. Some people still say, Altar of the Moon is better with a different layout. I like the skateboard option. I saw people running Tate and Liza. I've seen people running Copycat. Give me 1 second. I'll clean this up real quick. All right. So I saw multiple decks running either 1 or 2 copies of Tate and Liza, 1 or 2 copies of Copycat, 1 copy of Judged, and when you look at these cards, the Tate and Liza, are you really going to switch out your cards that much when you have a skateboard already in the deck? So you don't really need that. And would you shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 5 cards when you already have Cynthia? You don't need another one of those, it's just going to be clogging up your deck when you can have space for 4 skateboards or 4 Mysterious Treasure and stuff like that, or 4 Cynthias. The Cynthia gets you 6 cards, and so it's just like you don't really need the Tate and Liza. Now, as for Copycat, Copycat's really only useful if your opponent is, you know, drawing huge hands. When you go up against Shrine decks, they're minimizing how many cards they have because they're playing everything. You know, they have an Oranguru on the bench. They're trying to make sure they have a low amount of cards they can instruct. And so the Copycat's not very beneficial unless you're going up against maybe a Mirror or a Rayquaza deck, which the Vika Ray, I think you can get around without having a Copycat, because the Rayquaza is only going to Tempest GX one time. Like, you're not going to wait for that one time and go find the Copycat, you know what I mean? And then finally you have Judge. Judge isn't really helpful when you, and you can use the Marshadow Let Loose instead of wasting a supporter on making your opponent have to shuffle draw 4. Then we have a Choice Band, and we have Beast Ring and Beast Energy. And so Choice Band, you know, obviously output increases your output, which this deck does have a low amount of damage output compared to some other decks. But I think you can get the job done very efficiently with this deck, especially if you play your cards smart, and you don't really need the Choice Band to knock some of them out. The Beast Ring is only helpful when you have 3 or 4 prize cards remaining, and so if you are going up against a Shrine deck, especially when Pokemon people aren't playing as many GX cards, getting to that 3 or 4 prize card remaining isn't that difficult. But if you pull a Beast Ring when you need a Mysterious Treasure and Ultra Ball, like it's not that great, you know. And then we don't run that many Ultra Beasts. Obviously, this is only helpful if you're running the Ultra Necrozma set, and then again, you run into bricking with the metal, and this helps you find that, but it's, you know, it's very situational in terms of pulling this Beast Ring. There's no way for you to find this. There's no way, you know, it's just like not the best card or card option to use, especially when the Necrozma method is a lot more viable than the Necrozma. I'm sorry, the Necrozma is a lot more beneficial or viable than the Ultra Necrozma. And as far as Beast Energy goes, you have to attach it to an Ultra Beast. We're not playing any Ultra Beasts in this set. Necrozma is technically an Ultra Beast, but he doesn't have that Ultra Beast like logo that Ultra Necrozma does. You know, this Ultra Beast here, Necrozma doesn't have that, even though, you know, in the games it is an Ultra Beast technically. So there's that explanation as to this deck list. I'm sure most people know. Oh yeah, and we run 10 Psychic, just straight Psychic energies. And so I really like this deck. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's very viable in the current meta. When I went to, so I prepared, you know, I researched a ton before, and I went to a league challenge most recently, and I played this deck. I got absolutely destroyed. And it's not because this deck is bad, because obviously it got second place in the Philadelphia Regionals, but I just got absolutely destroyed because I haven't been able to practice with anybody with this deck at all. On PTCGO, you have to have the cards to actually practice, and I'm still in the process of getting, you know, all my cards and all that kind of stuff. And so it made it really difficult when you didn't know how, you know, I watched so many videos, you know, I watched like Andrew Mahone with Tricky Jim. What else did I watch? I watched a ton of other YouTubers and streamers run this kind of deck or similar to it. At the time, no one really had videos up except for a couple people. And so it's really fun to watch those videos, and I watched a ton of those videos to see, you know, okay, in what situations would you play a Deoxys, or in what situation would you play a Marshadow, or, you know, how do you work around, you know, a tough spot with the cards that you have and stuff like that. And obviously it's never going to be the exact same as what situations I would be in, but you know, I was still a brand new player. I didn't know how to do things. I made a ton of mistakes, and I thought it was a very good learning experience to go to the league challenge and learn, you know, okay, next time I shouldn't do this, or, you know, next time this is how I should have done it, and stuff like that. So I really loved doing that and learning from that league challenge. I think an important thing to note is that for newer players like myself, I didn't know, you know, it's a lot different battling or dueling in real life than as opposed to, sorry, my camera cut out there without me noticing, but what I was saying was that there's a huge difference between playing online with PTCGO and with playing in real life, because it does everything for you. It doesn't teach you how to shuffle. It doesn't teach you the mannerisms that you have to do. You have to put your deck down. They cut it for you, and the order you do things and how you speak to everybody you don't experience that on PTCGO. So it was really nice to learn about that culture aspect of playing the game, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody who wants to join. It's a lot of fun learning and experimenting with different things, testing out different ideas that you could possibly have. And so it is a lot of work to get the cards and do all the research, but I think it's well worth it because it is so much fun. And I'm still not done. I have a lot of cards that I still need to collect on PTCGO, and that's proven difficult because you have to get the coins, or you have to buy the actual cards and get the codes, and it's just a whole ordeal. And so I think even though it might be tedious, I think it's worth it to put in the effort, because it's just an amazing card game to get into. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit, not really competitively. I started to get into it, but then other things came up, and so I decided not to. But finally, I have the time, to really invest in a card game, and I chose Pokemon. I love Pokemon, and I've been playing the games my whole life, and it's been a huge part of my life. And I just never really got into the card game because I always thought it was confusing. But now that I put in the effort to learn it, I think it's a phenomenal game, and I think it's really exciting, and it really changes the way you think about different things. And so I welcome that challenge, and I will continue to grow and learn, and I want to bring you guys along with me. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this journey is educational. I don't want to say that I'm an expert or anything like that, because I'm not. I'm still learning. I'd love to hear any feedback or comments on how I'm doing things, how I could improve and stuff like that. So thank you very much. Please leave a like, comment. What is your favorite deck to run right now? I'd love to know in here. Actually, one thing I'll mention is that the League Challenge, I saw a lot of people running Glaceon decks. That was really interesting. I hadn't seen that anywhere. And they were running, the Glaceon GX with the Frosticle Crash or Icicle Crash or something like that. Spear, something like that. And the ability is that it prevents other GX Pokemon from being able to use their ability, which really hampers anybody using LALA or any sort of deck that centers around a GX's ability to operate. And so that was interesting. That might be something I look into in the future here, or near future. But at the moment, I'm going to try and keep using Gascan to get to where I want to be. And yeah, sorry this video got so long, but thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!